Welcome to Running for Real, a global community with a shared love and curiosity for running. Together we reconnect with the reasons why we love to run and discover ways it helps us become better people. Whether it's the quiet moments of a morning run while the rest of the world still sleeps, or befriending the strangers next to you at the start line of a race. We are here to connect with others who see running as the common thread that weaves our lives together. Come join me, Tina Muir, as I talk with people from all walks of life, united by a love of running. Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode 344 of the Running for Real podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited that you are here and excited to introduce you to a guest who I probably should have had on a long time ago. We've been friends for many years now. He is the coach at Team New Balance Boston. He sent 3 athletes to the 2021 Olympics and was also on the 1996 Olympic marathon team himself. He used to coach at Dartmouth and won the silver medal in the marathon at the 1995 Pan American Games. There's so much more I could give you in terms of his credentials, the things that he has done, but I am excited to have him here today to talk about his book, which is called Personal Best Running, Coach Coogan's Strategies for Mile to the Marathon, because obviously he not only was successful himself, but has been a very successful coach. And Mark has been a friend for many years, as I mentioned, so we also can go beyond just the general chit chat and you get to hear a bit more of an intimate conversation between two friends. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. We talk a lot about training. This is more of a tips, advice, kind of learning about your running episode compared to the episodes that we typically do, which are a little more on the personal side of things. So without any further ado, let's get to this episode with Mark Coogan. Thank you to AG1 from Athletic Greens for sponsoring the Running for Real podcast and for supporting me with the work that I'm doing. They recently they funded the Red S recovery resource that I created, which I really appreciated, and they just care about the community. So I wanted to start by highlighting that. But what is AG1? Well, AG1 allows you to take control of your health, give your body what it truly needs. Now, there's one serving of AG1 delivers this high-impact blend of 9 health products, multivitamin, minerals, probiotics, adaptogens, and more that is designed to support your gut health, support recovery, energy boost, and more. So everything we need as runners. As a friend of mine, you can get a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 plus K2, another critical component we need as runners, as well as from keeping us healthy from getting sicknesses. Plus, you're going to get 5 free travel packs with your order. So when you are traveling to races, you can have those with you. I do not miss days of Athletic Greens. And if I do, I notice it and I miss it and I crave it when I get home. So I have so easily slipped this into my routine. It is the one habit that I am actually able to keep. And I know that it's taking care of my gut health, my immunity, my energy, and my recovery. Those are all things we as runners need. It's got 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients in one serving. And it tastes really good. It's almost got like a pineapple-y flavor to it. My kids love it. And if a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old love it, that is saying something. So you can go to athleticgreens.com/Tina. That's athleticgreens.com/Tina to get that special offer as a friend of mine. Go check out AG1. You will see that the hype is for real. The reasons are true, and you're going to love it. I know I do. Mark, welcome to the Running for Real podcast. I feel a bit embarrassed saying that because I feel like you should have been on here like literally 5 years ago. But welcome. We did a Facebook Live or something last time I saw you, but it wasn't a podcast episode. So thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's nice to reconnect after a few years. Yeah, I miss not talking to you, so it's great.
A lot has changed. And yeah, I'm trying to remember what that was. I recorded, do you remember we did a little mini right behind where you are there? We were standing at the kitchen and we were recording something, but I don't remember what it was or where it went. But it was funny. So to say that for the listeners, so I've known Mark for, it's over 10 years because it was 2012 I met you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. At the NCAA Women of the Year Award, or NCAA Women of the Year celebration, I suppose, where you were there with, who were you there with? I know who it was, but
with Lexi Pappas, right?
Yes, yeah. You were there with Alexi,
and Abby and I drove down from a meet in Wisconsin to Indianapolis to support her.
Yeah, because Abby graduated a year later or 2 years later.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were there with Alexi, and you and I ended up going on a run with. I think I was going with Alexi, and you were obviously going with Alexi, and then there was someone else there.
Yeah,
remember who that was?
I don't. It was a guy, though, wasn't it? Wasn't it some guy? I don't really remember. I remember that's where I met you for sure.
Yes, and then Alexi went back, and the guy went back, and you and I ran a bit longer, didn't we?
Yes.
Exactly. I can't remember how many miles. Maybe I think I did like 17, but I can't remember if you did that many. But anyway, we were talking, and we got on, we connected, and stayed in touch since after that. And then I stayed with you for a few days, and when I went to Maine, I think I flew into Portland, and then stayed with you for a few days. That was 5-7 years ago, which has been a long time. But got those memories. So just wanted to fill everyone in about our we do have a shared background here. And I wasn't going to say this on air, but I remember you saying to me in that moment of me saying, like, what would I have to do to kind of get to the point where I could run with your group? And you said to me, I think you said if you run, did you say if you run under 231 or 230 or something? And I was like, I remember thinking at the time, like, I'm nowhere near that. I'm such a long way from that. Maybe with the super shoes now I could have hit that. But back then I was like, I've got a long way to go. I don't know if you remember saying that, but I remember being nervous to ask you that. But then, my life took a different path, and that is absolutely. I want to move on to your journey here. I mentioned in the intro about all the accomplishments you have, both as a coach and as yourself as an athlete, especially being an Olympian. But I want to begin by talking about a turning point in your life, some epiphany you had, some realization. It can be running related, coaching related, or something else that you want to share with us. So can we begin with that?
Sure. I've been thinking about this for a couple of hours since you gave me a little heads up that this might be a question coming my way. But, like when I was running, I always felt like there was like this pressure on my shoulders to make the Olympic team or to do well. I always felt like there was this like load I was carrying around. And then,
wait, was that for you? Was that like you putting it on yourself, or were other people?
No, it was me. It was me internally putting it on myself. And I remember when Katrina was born. So she was born in 1993. And in November 93. And I remember like holding her for the first time or the second time or something. And I just couldn't imagine how much I loved something, like having this little baby. Like my whole like outlook changed. And it wasn't about me running fast anymore or making a team. It was like, how can I be a good dad to this, little person in my lap? And I felt like a lot of the weight was lifted off my shoulders when I went to races then. And I think I'm a little unusual. Like I ran better after Katrina was born and when Margaret was born. Like I made my teams after they came. I made the Olympic team after she was born. I made the world champs track team after Katrina was born. So I think maybe like having something that like you really care about more than yourself, and it just kind of took the pressure away from me for some reason. I don't know. I'm not quite sure why, but I remember thinking that. And then just like when I was running, I remember just like doing runs with, this is like a second example, sort of like I was running with these guys in Providence, Rhode Island, a bunch of Irishmen and Englishmen and stuff. They all went to PC and they were all, Olympians and just fast and really good, accomplished runners. And I never really saw myself being as good as they were. But as I kept going there every day and running with them almost every day and started keeping up with them, like one day just popped in my head. It was like, if so-and-so can go win a big road race, like, why can't I go win a big road race? And I just like, my mentality started to switch that way. So I think Katrina being born and me not being the most important thing in the world anymore to me. And then that was huge. And then running with these people in Providence, and they were so good that once I realized I could run with them, I could take that and go to my own races and do well. So it's two little epiphanies I think I had along the way, you know?
I want to dive into both of those a little bit more. So the first one you're saying about Katrina, I mean, that's got to be something to do with identity, right? When we really care about something and we see it as part of who we are, it can feel, like you said, about all that, you've got all that pressure on your shoulders, all the stress, and I've got to do this, I need to do this, I have to prove whatever. And then suddenly, I mean, it's especially easy with a baby being born, but it could just be anything of recognizing that, you know what, no matter what I do or don't achieve, this person's going to love me, this person is here, and they don't care whatsoever about what I do. I remember having a moment when I won my first race. I ran a Disney half marathon after having my first daughter, Bailey. And I remember crossing the finish and everyone was like, interviewing me and all this. And then we went into the tent and she was like, I'm hungry, or said something, hungry or whatever, put her finger to her mouth or something, and thinking like, oh, okay, you really don't care about anything I just did. You are just like, I want what I want. And it doesn't matter whether you've won the Olympics or whatever. Like, I want what I want. So
exactly.
It's such a good reminder.
Yeah. And I use that in coaching a lot now. So like whenever we go to a big meet or a big race, like I make sure I remind everybody on the team that, like, you obviously going to try to do the best you can, but the world doesn't really change if you make the Olympic team or if you don't make the Olympic team. Your mom and dad's still going to love you. Your best friends and boyfriends and girlfriends and siblings, they're still going to be there for you no matter what. It doesn't change. It really doesn't change who your friends and family are and the love that they have for you. So I think, I always mention that to them, how the world doesn't really change. And I think it just it gets you to relax a little bit, and you can just say, all right, well, I'm just going to go out there and do the best I can. And, whatever happens, happens. And I think that's a healthy attitude when you go into a race. You don't want to go into the race with this pressure, and if it doesn't go well, it's like you go into a depression or you don't get down in the dumps. Like, you don't need that, right? You want to do your best. It's supposed to be fun. These are like the kids that I coach. They're not kids, they're grown-ups, but the people that I coach, they they know this is like the good old days for them, in 20 years. And I think like they appreciate, when someone says, just go give it your best. It's like, we're not, you don't have to set the world on fire. You're already very good. And like, let's just do your best and see what happens. And everything's going to be great no matter what. And
you definitely give that essence off in terms of just, people can already tell it. Like, you're such a sweet, loving, caring person that I'm sure your athletes don't feel like there's probably some element of I'm letting him down, but I would love to hear for you, now that you've achieved what you have as a coach. You have this approach with your athletes, and yet would you say most coaches who have athletes at your level view things that way, or is that kind of a step too far in terms of compassion that they find that hard to take that off?
Yeah, I think it's going that way a little bit. It's like more towards like general healthiness or general mental well-being than like 10 or 15 years ago. Like some of our competitors, it's like win at all costs. And that's just not the way I operate. And that's not the way New Balance operates. New Balance, they want us to do the best we can, but they want us to do it in a safe, healthy, fun environment. And I wouldn't feel comfortable, going into a gray zone or just little things that I don't think are above board. Like, we just don't do that. And I don't do that. And I think the sport's going more that direction, in the last few years. I really do. Like, there's some really good young coaches, some good young groups. The colleges seem to be taking, mental I don't know, mental wellness. I don't know what the word is, making that more of a priority on teams. And people ask, how you're feeling more now than they used to. Like I did a call with the like a Zoom call with the USOC. This is maybe, I don't know if it was in December or beginning of January, I already forgot. But when the gist of the call was that, and I'm going to butcher the numbers but on a typical year, like 30% of people between the ages of like 18 and 28 suffer some kind of depression, just, it could just be mild or it could be serious, but like 30%. And then they said now after COVID, they're seeing in that same group, up to 70% of the people are feeling some kind of depression or, are down in the dumps. So 7 out of 10 people, and the woman that was leading this talk said, well, what do you do if, someone's, feeling a little bit depressed? You tell them to get out in fresh air. You tell them to join a team. You tell them to have a schedule. You tell them, to exercise. You tell them to eat well. Well, that's what everybody on my team does.
Yeah.
So it'd be easy for someone like me to miss it, I think, a little bit. So I told them that story, just like I just told you. And then one of the kids on the team came up after and said, I've been down in the dumps a lot lately and I'm not sure what it is. I'm trying to get out of it. So it felt really good to me that someone shared that with me and I could share it in an environment that was just easy. I just said it matter of factly. I said, hey, listen, guys, I did the Zoom call last night with the USOC and this is what they said. And boom, it worked.
Yes.
I don't know. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such just normalizing that it is okay to have those periods of time and that you're not alone for feeling that way. And I think it's really important that you mentioned that what your athletes do is what the recommendations are. And it's not quite as simple as that, but talking about it, feeling like they have someone who understands is so huge. And that's where that you, like you said, there's more coaches moving in that direction. That's where someone like you who does that automatically is going to excel, because your athletes aren't going to reach a breaking point where they kind of, completely break down and need extended period off. They don't want to run, none of that. So,
right. And I think I'm lucky too, in a sense that because Katrina, my daughter, Katrina, she's on the team, she's on New Balance Boston. And I always think well, I'm going to treat everybody like I treat Katrina, perfect, because this is how I want her to be treated if she was on a team. So so I think I think having her on the team has helped me be a better coach too, and when I dropped her off at Georgetown, when she went to Georgetown for college, this is 10 years ago now too. I remember saying to her coach, Chris Miltenberg, I said, Chris, I love this girl more than anything in the world. Please take good care of her. Yeah. And then and he called me, because I knew him. So he called me a day or two later and said Mark, that really stuck with me. I'm gonna remember that from now on in my coaching. That how important these kids are, something like that, And so that was good, So it's nice to have a kid on your team once in a while, I think.
So what you're saying is every person listening who has a kid going off to college should call the coach and be like, take care of my child. You're going to be in trouble.
Know how important they are.
Yeah, coach's phone is ringing off the hook. All right, I get it.
Yeah, don't be a helicopter parent after that.
yeah, there you go. No, I think that is such an important point. And then your second one, in terms of seeing what these other guys could do and thinking, why can't I do that? While I think people listening might think, well, I can't look at what you do or what I do, like Tina or any of these professional athletes, past or present, do and think, oh, I can do that. But how do you think that does apply to, I think we more see it in terms of challenges of pushing the body maybe in a different way for a recreational athlete. So maybe running 100 miles is something, they can't do it fast, but they can do it. Right. Or it might be, getting out and backpacking overnight is something that someone else does. So what are some other ways that you see that play out?
I mean, everybody's going to have different goals, right, with their running. So say somebody just wants to break 3 hours and 30 minutes in the marathon. If you're training with a couple people that have run 3:15 or 3:20 and you're doing your long runs with them and hanging in there, or if you go to a road race and you do like a tune-up race, like a 10K or something, and you're running equivalent to what they do, it should start sinking in that, hey, like, actually I can do this. And, if I, continue to prepare correctly for this race, like I am going to hit my goals. I always think like you should, like I tell my team, like we should never have a bad race. Like every race is going to be, not every race is going to be great or, a record breaker or whatever, but like you should never have a bad race. Like once you're in, in good form or in good fitness, you should, almost run up to your potential. And it doesn't mean you're going to win, but you want to, I always tell my guys, like, let's just be in the race with a lap to go. Like if you have a shot to win the race with a lap to go, then you've had a good run. You're not going to win them all. You're not going to lose them all. But if you give yourself a shot, with 400 to go, a shot to win, like you got to walk away from the track and be happy, or the road race or whatever it is, and know that you gave it your best shot.
Thank you to Orlo for sponsoring this episode of the Running for Real podcast. I've been talking about Orlo for months now, and I am loving the way it is fitting into my life. I can take it on a daily basis without any fishy burps, because none of us like the omega-3s that are made from fish oils that have that gross feeling afterwards. I love that these are made from algae, which makes it very sustainable. It's the world's first carbon negative algae supplement, and it is just packed with omega-3s that are going to give you the benefit as you come into the racing season, or just in general in life. As you know, I'm not really someone right now who's focusing on those things, and I'm still feeling the difference. Now, why do we as runners need omega-3s? Well, we need omega-3s to create ATP, which gives us energy. So the more energy we have, the more we can run, the better we can feel. It also helps with our mental clarity and our focus, so we can pay attention, we can stay in the mental game, we can concentrate, we can keep that inner critic out. That's going to help you in both short distances and long distances. So regardless of what you are running, regardless of what your goals are, by having omega-3s, you are going to be making sure that your brain health is taken care of, as well as your heart health. And while we as runners kind of think to ourselves, well, I don't need those things, that's what my running does for us, this is a huge thing to mention, especially for those of us who are women, as heart disease does target women, and it's something that we need to think about. So as a friend of mine, you can get 12% off Orlo Nutrition by going to Orlo, ORLO, nutrition.com, and use code TINA. That's going to give you an exclusive discount. You can use that code TINA at orlonutrition.com. You can also use the link in the show notes. And I want to remind you that this is a sustainable supplement. This is not made from fish. This is not something that is going to do harm to our planet. Orlo works really hard to make sure they are taking care of us as a planet. And I'm just so excited to be working with them. So head over to orlonutrition.com and use code TINA. What have you learned in terms of that? Like, you obviously are working with people who are trying to win things and who are trying to put themselves in a position where they have an opportunity to win with a lap to go. What have you learned about recreational athletes and everyday runners in writing your book, which we can mention now, Personal Best Running, Coach Coogan Strategy for the Mile to the Marathon? What did you learn during that process of the book coming together?
Well, I think everybody wants to do well, and not everybody can put in the same amount of time because people have jobs or just life, everybody's life's a little bit differently. But I think like Scott and I, when we were putting the book together, like we decided that, everybody can run well at a certain level, whatever it is for that individual. And like in the training schedules, like I made all the training schedules, Scott didn't, but all the training schedules that are in this book, there's a lot of leeway that you can, like if you have a busy day, it's okay to like move a workout. You know, you don't, if you're supposed to work out on Tuesday and it's snowing and your kid can't go to school because it's a snow day, like, well, let's move Tuesday to Wednesday. And like, there's like a lot of ability to, shift and not really manipulate the workouts, but adjust on the fly, which is really important. And it's something like I use with my team where I can tell like when someone's doing strides, if they're probably not going to have a good workout or a good session. And I can say, all right, I can already tell you're a little tired. Tell me how you're feeling. And if they say I'm tired, I'll be like, all right, well, let's just skip the workout today and we can do it tomorrow. Or let's just skip the workout totally and just run until Friday, until our next scheduled workout is, and just get our legs back underneath, get your legs back underneath you. So so you don't start digging a hole. Or, if the workout calls for 6 times a mile or something like that, and you can tell after 4 of them they're cooked, or, let's that 4 is good. Let's not get greedy today. Like a lot of stuff like that. And I think that this book, I think there's a lot of good training book out there, but I think my book allows you to like navigate like a lot of the like daily, things that can get in the way. Like a real person, things get in the way for a real person. They just do. You don't know if someone's going to be sick or you're going to be sick, or I don't know, just a project comes up. There's a lot more variables in real life that you don't know are coming.
What would you like to remind people then? Because this is such an important point that you bring up, because that one that I hear in my community all the time is, you said, like, something comes up, someone can't do a workout, they don't have the time to, they don't feel good, they have a snow day, whatever you said. And so they say, okay, well, I'm going to push it back. But then quite often it gets pushed back and then it's backing into something else. And so they do them back to back, or having one day in between 3 different things or something.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to someone who does struggle? And I'd imagine some of your athletes struggle with that too, where you say, let's just make it easy runs till Friday. And they're like, no, I'm not missing that. What would you like to remind people listening who find themselves in that situation where things do come up and they find it hard to let it go?
But I also know, like, you only have so much willpower. So a lot of people, their jobs or their family is going to take priority over their running. So like, just understand that, like, before you set off on a marathon training program or a half marathon program or something like that, just remember that, like, running is not number one, right? Your family's number one, and then probably your job or whatever. I'm not. People can make up whatever they want for being the most important, but running is probably not the most important thing. And so if you're really doing this like really hard project at school or something like that, and you're really mentally into it, like, you're not going to have a great workout, because like you just can't, because you only have so much willpower and you're putting it into this other thing. So I would say, like, why don't you just, try to get something in, be happy that you're actually getting a run in on a busy day like this, and getting a little bit in is better than nothing. And in a few days I'll be done with this project or whatever, and I'll be back on it. And that's how I would approach it. And I think that, like, another thing, like, my group, we don't miss a lot of workouts, but like, if we're running a race on a Saturday, like, the people on my team, like, they can run really, really hard. And when they run a good race, like, they're fried, like they're mentally tired and they're physically tired. And often we can't do like, if we race on Saturday, they're not ready to bounce back on and do a workout on Tuesday, So like, they run really hard on Saturday, I'll be like, let's not do this long run on Sunday. Let's just do an easy day on Sunday. Maybe we'll go a little bit longer on Monday. We'll skip the Tuesday workout, and we'll get back on it like the end of next week. So they actually, they can recover from the race. They don't feel like they're missing anything, because like, we've already planned to skip the next session because they're beat up, and then we get on it. And I learned that actually at Dartmouth, coaching Abbey, who and like, because Abbey could run so hard, and I was like, always like, race Tuesday, long Sunday, hard Tuesday, hard Friday. And she would always have these terrible workouts on Tuesday. And once I finally figured out that she could run so hard and mentally, just beat herself up from trying so hard that we had to skip that next workout. Like, she stayed healthy, she ran better, her PRs improved. So I think, it's just something I've kind of learned along the way, that like you only have so much willpower for it, and that you gotta, it's almost like pick and choose your battles a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. While we're on the topic of Abbey, just quickly, I feel like I should have definitely researched this, but I didn't intend on asking anything about Abbey, but you've just made me think of it. Were you coaching her with the whole Olympic knee?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you tell us about your perspective of, maybe share what happened, just for anyone who doesn't know what I'm referring to, but how that felt for you in that moment, like the moment it happened, watching her come in, and kind of the media viral uproar of it. I'd love to hear your perspective.
I mean, because I was sitting in the stands, and like I was like the total opposite side of the track from where she fell down. I saw that she fell down, but I didn't know if she got hurt or anything like that. So like I was just like, I remember some colleagues of mine were next to me, and I was like, "What happened?" And like, because you only could see that she fell down, and then she got up, and then like I saw her like stop, and like, I didn't know she was helping the other person back up that fell down, the New Zealand girl, Nikki Hamlin, might butcher her name.
Was it?
Hamlin, yeah. And I didn't really see her do that because I was so far away. And then she just came running by, and I could tell like obviously she fell down. So like she was so far back, and I knew something was wrong. And I did yell out like a couple of times. I was like, "You can just stop, you can stop." But she wasn't going to stop. And then they took her away in a wheelchair after, and took her underneath. And like, I didn't have access to any of that stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I bumped into Lexi Pappas, and we snuck down. We snuck down underneath the stadium somehow. I don't know how we didn't get arrested or something crazy, but Lexi and I snuck down some back stairs, and we wandered around and just like pretended we were supposed to be there, and went in and found her in this like little triage room, like, a PT type room, where she was on a table with big bag of ice and everything. And, she just smiled, and like, I was like, we just kind of smiled. And like, I was like, it wasn't what we were expecting, but, and then I saw like all the videotape of her helping, and Abby saying, I can't, she's just a special person. She's just, she's not going to let somebody fall down and not help them up in anything. She's one of the most amazing people that I've ever been around. Just the kindness and thoughtfulness, and just the way she acts. She's a wonderful person, Yeah. And she's tough as nails too. And like, and I'm glad she's kind of got back running, halfway decent. Cause like, I'm glad people saw what a good person she is, and helping that woman up. But I also want people to know how tough she is and what a great runner she is. And like, winning 7 NCAA championships is not easy. When you're studying your butt off at Dartmouth, and like, and kicking everybody's butt in races and stuff. And, so I'm glad that she got, under 15 minutes last 2 years ago. Now, she just had a baby a couple of weeks ago, and like, I've only texted with her quickly, and she seems happy as anything. So it's all good. It's all good.
Thank you for sharing that. I'd always wondered. I want to say I texted you at the time, but maybe I didn't. I can't remember. But I'm sure it was. I mean,
it went viral around the whole world. Yeah. Like, it was crazy. She was like, people wanted her to go give talks like in every country in the world. Like she was winning all these awards we've never heard of.
I know, yeah. But it was crazy. I mean, well deserved, but probably good to see. But yeah, that was definitely a viral moment for the running world.
Yeah. And I don't know, I mean, also she tore her ACL, she tore her MCL, she had major surgery, she ripped her meniscus. So it was a long, hard battle for her to get back. It wasn't easy.
Yeah. And amazing. She was able to, like you said, get back and do what she does best. I would love to hear, if you're okay to talk about this. This is going to be a bit of a challenge for you, I think. So, as a coach who coaches athletes at a very high level, And I think about this often because as you know, Steve, my husband, was my coach, and I stepped away. And I think he kind of thought maybe I'd someday go back to it, and maybe I will. But as of right now, I don't really want to.
Right.
And I know it's a struggle to see someone who, A, you see a lot of potential in, but B, maybe they don't have that desire anymore. So myself, I'm obviously an example of this. Alexi is another example. Like, she does train hard for things, but she's also about, guiding or running ultras, stepping up the distance randomly. Same with people having kids. Like, is that hard for you ever to see not talent being wasted, but to get up the motivation to support in whatever your athletes are doing, because you know they could be doing running faster?
Right. So it really used to bug me, like when I first started coaching at at Dartmouth or something. Like, there was a lot of really talented runners there, but people got pulled in different directions, and it was definitely frustrating for me at first, for sure. But then Lexi, so I coached her for a few years at Dartmouth. So I really, she had a lot going on while she was there besides running. And I could see how if she didn't have her stand-up comic group, or she couldn't, work on this English project that she was really into, if that got taken away from her, like her running, she wouldn't want to be running. Like, running wouldn't even be fun. So I think there's some people that they might even be a little bit better with a few things on their plate besides the running, because if it can, for some people it's all encompassing and they love it. And then other people, it can just be too much, like we were saying earlier, like, you don't want the whole world on your shoulders, for a race. And so Lexi's like my perfect example. Like, I even use her in the book as an example of like how good she could be with other things going on in her life. Like, she could still, be all-American, make the Olympic trials, things like that, while writing a TV show, going to grad school, and she's like a person that, with those things going on, allowed her to, to, like when she went back to her running, or when she went to practice, or when she was out for a run, she could just let that go and then do a good job this. Yeah. So she figured out how to navigate it. So I think people can navigate it. I don't think you want to be like adding new things all the time, but if there's some things other than running that you love as much as you're running, or have to be more important, like you can do both. Why not? Right. Like on my team, almost all of them are taking grad school classes. It's a little bit easier now because a lot of things are online now. So it makes it a little bit easier for them, but they're all, in grad school classes. Like Katrina's studying for the MCATs. She'll probably run for another year or two, but then go to med school. And so they're not just runners. They're people, and they need some other stimulus too. I think it's good for them. I really think it's good for them. I don't want them, like building houses or starting a landscaping business or something like that, or, being a lifeguard sitting in the sun all day. I don't think that would be great for their running, but I think having some little things on the side that are also important to them. Yeah.
Do you think that's another thing that coaches now are starting to realize, that, like you said, like Galen Rupp comes to mind, just seems to thrive on like a very quiet life other than just his training. But like, do you think that's getting to the point now where people are recognizing, coaches, that it's okay to have multiple things? Or do you think that's kind of, you realize it, but not many others do?
No, I think some realize it, but I think like there's probably some of those old school coaches that are saying like, you should run, get some food in you, take a nap, get a massage, go for a run, don't do anything, get on the couch, Like, you almost think it's like you always hear, like, that's what the Kenyans do. They have the simple life, and, don't, they're not living like this extravagant life with everything and blah, blah, blah. But, so they're probably both, like, there's probably a happy medium in there somewhere, but, like my people, like the people that I coach, they enjoyed school. Like they like school, they love running too, but but they need a little bit something else than, a Netflix special or something.
Yes. I did do like 3 months at one point where I didn't do anything, and I was so miserable. Where I just ran. And I was like, nope, this is not for me. So I definitely get it. And it's obviously applies to people listening because they aren't going to have the ability to just sit and train. So it does apply.
Yeah. So like Ellie, I'm on my team. So, I mean, she's a dairy farmer. So she's actually pregnant right now, but, but if she's at home, she's going to she'll get up, get her run in and do whatever she has to do for her running. But then she's going to go help at the farm for a couple hours, whether it's, I don't know what it is, driving a tractor or, doing errands or, I don't think she's milking cows, but she's pitching in and it makes her happy. It makes her happy to be around her family and her husband and all these people, working on the farm. And if she didn't have it, she wouldn't be as good of a runner. That she's such a good runner. She wouldn't be like that if she couldn't do that. If I said, no, you can't do that, she wouldn't be running. She'd just be farming,
Thank you to Allbirds for sponsoring this episode of the Running for Real podcast. And you have heard me talking about Allbirds, how I am wearing Allbirds pretty much 24/7. Okay, not when I'm inside the house. I'm not wearing them right now. But anytime I'm outside or doing something, I'm wearing Allbirds. I run in the tree flyers. I wear the tree dashes for most of my daily activities. When I was working at the Chicago Marathon, the Shamrock Shuffle, which is part of the group that puts on the Chicago Marathon, I was on my feet for 10 to 14 hours at a time. Those dashes were so comfortable. My feet did not hurt at all at the end of the day. I also love the plant paces. Those are kind of the more fashion forward. They're made of plant leather, so they're not vegan, which is made of plastic. And those are my like kind of casual shoes. I also love the loungers for going out in the evenings. Pretty much everything I wear is Allbirds, and you will see why when you head over to their website. You will see everything is beautifully made. It is sustainably made. They are obsessed with getting their carbon number down, which means the amount of carbon emissions that goes into each individual shoe. You will see there is a carbon number on each item, which means how many emissions are going into the atmosphere with each item they make. And the numbers that they get are pretty impressive with how low they are able to get them compared to other companies. So sustainability is at the core of this company, and I absolutely love it. Now, as a friend of mine, you can get a free pair of socks with your order. You just need to add a pair of socks to your cart when you click the link in the show notes. Add a pair of socks and it will take them off when you use that link. Take off the price, I should say. Again, I want to recommend the tree flyers. Those are the ones I run with. I also recommend the tree dashes. Those are my day-to-day favorite. And the pacers and the loungers. Those are the ones I want to talk about today. Go check them out. You can't really go wrong. Thank you so much to Allbirds for your support. So that ties into another point that is a focus in the book, which is surrounding yourself with supportive people. If you could talk about the importance, why that is so important, and then what you would suggest if someone feels like maybe their family isn't so supportive, or there's a lot of like jealousy to that person for getting out and doing something for themselves. What would you say there?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a tough one. I think as you get older, like out of college or working, you are going to surround people that you enjoy being around. Like some of my high school friends are still my best friends, and like if I need something, it's just a text away or a quick phone call or like it's something. I'm trying to just think of an example, like if I forgot something at home when I go to Flagstaff. This is a simple example. Like it's like a text, and they'll drive an hour to go to my house and let themselves in and get what I need, and then get it off to me. They wouldn't even think twice. And I would. So I think like if you're around your friends or if your family's like that, then they're absolutely going to support one of your endeavors. So like my friends have supported my running like crazy. Like loading in a car and driving to Atlanta for the Olympics, or coming to watch me run some little podunk race, and outside of Boston somewhere, like they're always there, and so I, I don't even know what I'm getting at with this, but like it's just like it will make your running better. It will make whatever your activity better if you have a few people like that,
So even if someone's family isn't, like if someone's spouse or their immediate family is not supportive and kind of almost envious of that person getting out there, you'd say lean on friends, lean on people who you did find in the community.
Yeah, I think so. Your team or the running group that you're part of, the running club, the town running club, or maybe there's a local running store that you do group runs out of. Like, I mean, I'd be looking forward to like that Wednesday night group run that goes out of the running store, and the people that work at the running store, like they probably really do love running. That's why they're there, and like they're a good resource to bounce ideas off of. The coach of your local running club or whatever, like you can always bounce ideas off of someone like that. Mm-hmm. And this is just like my guess is, like most families are supportive. There's a few that aren't, but I would say the majority of families are going to be happy when someone in the family is doing well at something or has an activity that makes them feel good. Like, mm-hmm. Some families, someone might feel jealous or something like you were saying, but I think most families in general, are going to be happy when something like that happens. Mm-hmm. Right. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're right that it is. And I've just had, some friends over the years who have said that they've really struggled with finding with their, immediate family, maybe on a surface level being supportive, but not on a like a fundamental level, but they've found a lot of comfort and support within their, like you said, running club, running group, people they have met at races who they see, mm-hmm. There are ways to find support, even if your immediate family is kind of, you have to draw a line in the sand whenever you go inside and kind of not talk about running. So, mm-hmm. But yes, thank you for that. I would love to talk about you having been a very successful athlete yourself, moving into coaching. We've kind of talked about some of the progressions that you've been through to get to being comfortable with various factors of life today. What about when it comes to your kids? And we've talked a bit about Katrina already, and Will is in college right now, a junior. How did you handle wanting to, you mentioned about calling up Katrina's coach, but how did you handle mentally, obviously wanting them to do well, maybe wanting them to run, but balancing, you also want them to be a human and not go through the pressures that you said you put on your own shoulders? Right.
I think with both of them, I feel like they're at good schools with nice coaches and good programs. So I don't have to worry about, I never worry about like what they're doing for running. I couldn't even tell you what they're doing for running or how many miles they're doing or what their workouts are. I never ask. And they don't, like when they call home or they FaceTime me or something, like it's more like, what's going on? I wish I had nachos or something, oh, wait, I just made your favorite nachos. And he'd be like, Dad, I wish I was there. I could have those, or we could watch the Patriots or something. And, or we talk about how's your class, and he'll tell me something about what happened in one of his classes or something. He takes school pretty seriously. And so he'll tell me if something's bugging him, like his hamstrings bugging him, or if he feels tired or something like that. But he won't say, oh, we did, 8 times 800 and 210 today. And I couldn't keep up, or I don't know what he's doing for workouts. And, he's racing tonight, and he called me when I was driving home from New Balance this afternoon. And I said, what's the plan? And he's like, oh, I think, just hopefully it stays together for a couple of miles and I can run hard the last mile and score, and I was like, that's great. It's like, he wasn't talking splits or, oh, I want to run 64s as long as I can, or, just none of that. So you've been intentional with that? Like you didn't ask those questions to make them think that was important?
growing up?
I was it's definitely intentional not to be a Budinsky with their running or anything like that. Let their coaches do everything, like, for sure. And it's worked great because I'm friends with their coaches. The coach, I think the coaches appreciate the fact that that I don't do anything, except go there and clap, and cheer the team on, or, and so it's definitely intentional, it's been easy to do and intentional. It hasn't been hard for me because they've been in good spots. And I did the same thing in high school because we lived right at the high school, basically, when they were running in high school. And I thought they had good coaching and the coaches cared about them. And so I wasn't going to never said a word, just cheered them on, kind of like my mom would have done. Like, she doesn't know much about running and she just cheers me on, or she says, like, I can't even, like, my mother was like, I can't watch you run a marathon. Like, it's too hard. So I'm not even going to, I'll go to it, but I'm not going to watch it,
Yeah. Too painful to do. Yeah. That's so interesting. And I think that's quite rare. Or is it? Do you think, I've often had conversations with friends who people say to me all the time, like, oh, do you think your kids will run? And I'm like, I don't know. And I don't care. Like, I will be just as excited for them if they want to be they're into painting and choir. But part of me wonders if that is because once you have trained at that level, you realize what that is. And so people who have been there don't put as much pressure on their kids or don't feel that drive to give them like a constant nudge because they know internally what we put on ourselves anyway. Yeah. Do you think there's anything to that? Like, have you noticed that with other people in your situation?
A little bit. I mean, you'll always see like parents that are like pushing their kids into sports like lacrosse or soccer because they think they're going to get the college scholarship or something. And like my whole, like, I just never liked that. Like, I just know how hard it is and like how committed you have to be to like to do a D1 sport or like you ran in college and you ran growing up. It's like you have to be fairly committed. And so I've always like cringed when I see like parents like making their kids do something and you can tell it's not exactly what they want, So so like my kids, like we never pressured them to do running. They just they played soccer. They just did all like the regular things. Like, it seems like everybody plays soccer now, like when they're little, and then like my son played baseball and basketball, he never ran spring track in high school because he was out on the baseball team in high school. So this, like at North Carolina, is the first time he's ever run outdoor track. So, so I don't know. I mean, there's no right approach or wrong approach, but like I think because like you were saying, like I ran really hard and I was intense about it and I was successful. But you have to do that yourself, right? You can't make somebody do that. And so I think that me being like a little bit stand back, watching their athletics has helped. Yeah, it's helped me and helped them, I think, So.
No, I would absolutely believe that. Final thing I want to ask you about, within the book, you do have like numerous training schedules for the mile, 5K, 10K, half, full marathon, and also talking about racing multiple races in a short period of time, which is something lots of people like to do, isn't really talked about that much. But in terms of your own running, you ran in a range of events and disciplines that you had success in. Do you think that's still possible now at the elite level to be able to have that range, or do people tend to specialize now to really perfect one or two distances?
I think that people really focus on one event for major championships or something. So like Heather McLean, one of the women I coached, she raced this morning down in Melbourne, Australia. So I was watching it. I was just watching it on my iPad this morning, and there was a men's 3K that was happening, and Stewie McSwain, a really good Australian runner, 1,500, made the Olympic finals, 1,500, close to a medal. on the commentators were saying, what great range he has from running 328 in the 1500 to, I think they said like 2705 for 10K, and everything in between he's great at. But he's such a good runner. He can be great at a lot of events, but he focuses in on his one specialty when he gets to a championship. So I think like you can use other distances to make you better at the one that you really want to focus on, So like, people want to run a really good 5K, maybe they need to do maybe a 10 in training along the way is going to help them, to run a 5K, or maybe a 1500 a week before their 5K to just like blow it out and run fast might make their 5K a better race too. So I think,
absolutely.
So I think you do have to specialize, but I think you can use other distances around it to make you better, and then you don't get stale. Like you don't want to run a 5K every week at 15 every,
That's so true.
Yeah, so I think it's fun to dabble in other events, especially if you can like incorporate them in your training to make you better at what your race is.
For sure. I remember in college, I used to have to do once a season indoor, do an 800, and that just being miserable. But I knew that it was good for me to do that race, even though I just hated it.
Lactic acid coming out of your ears.
Yeah, exactly. So any more thoughts about what would you say to someone who's been listening, they're interested, they're recreational athletes. So a lot of what we've talked about is over their heads in terms of the level of the people you coach. But you want to remind people listening that this is not a book for elite athletes. This is a book for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, like personally, like when I was coaching, I coached at MIT and I coached at Tufts and I coached in high school before. Like it's much fun to see someone break 6 minutes in the mile for the first time as it is to see someone break 4 minutes in the mile for the first time if they've really been working hard at it, and a high school kid that, runs like 2 minutes for 800 meters, they are so excited that it's just as rewarding, for me as a coach to see that and see the big smile on their faces when they settle like a PB or PR or something. So like I would tell the people that like have a goal, have a goal that's kind of hard, but not like out of reach. And when you hit it, celebrate, right? Like you just reach something that's not easy, that you have to put work in to do. And it should make you happy, and hopefully your friends and family that know that you're shooting for this goal can, appreciate it with you and enjoy it with you, celebrate it with you. That's what that would be my suggestion.
Okay, thank you. So personal best running, Coach Coogan's strategies for the mile to the marathon. We'll put links in the show notes to go get that. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was great to learn, and appreciate all that you've done for our running community. So thanks.
You're welcome. What are friends for, right?
Yes. The Running for Real podcast and everything we do here at Running for Real would not be possible if it wasn't for the Running for Real team. While I am the person who you hear from most often and maybe the face of the brand, the rest of our team are such critical pieces of what we do. And without them, I think I'd just be running around in circles with ideas. So I want to take a moment to thank our team. To Jeremy Nessel, who's been with me since the very beginning. Kat McKay, Sally Pontarelli, Kelsey Wang, Sandy Gutierrez, Louise Murphy, Andrew Basola, Alexandria Will, and Maria Vargas. Thank you to each and every one of you for all that you give to Running for Real and our community. I appreciate you, and I'm so thankful for having you as a part of the team. So thankful to Mark joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed that episode. I hope you learned a lot. You go check out his book, Personal Best Running, Coach Coogan's Strategies for the Mile to the Marathon, and you get yourself a copy of that and enjoy reading it. He is a wealth of information and someone that I was really glad to have it on the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed that episode. So you can find links to everything we talked about today in the show notes at runningforreal.com/episode 344. You can also find links to our sponsors in there. That is Orlo. You can use the code TINA at checkout. That is going to give you 12% off your order. There's also a link in the show notes you can check out there. Also, thank you to Athletic Greens. You can get a 1 year's free supply of vitamin D3 and K2 with your order by going to athleticgreens.com/TINA. And to Allbirds, you can get a free pair of socks with your purchase. There is no code, but if you use the link in the show notes and you add a pair of socks to your cart, it will automatically go to you. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to go check out the For Real episodes coming out next Wednesday. If you haven't already listened to those, or if you haven't already subscribed to this podcast so you can listen to those are coming out next Wednesday. They're mini episodes with Sarah Crouch. They are hilarious. You are going to have tears in your eyes from laughing so much. Really, really fun. You're going to love it. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you on Monday for a Together Run. Thanks for listening.